Thank you, Linda. We do have to push on because, like I said, we're just a little bit behind time. And this one, we won't need a very big introduction because the person who is going to be lecturing us next on the new Vogue style is our very own Peter Todd, Australian champion, many times Australian champion, I can't even remember how many, Peter, and has trained more Australian champions in Copenhagen. So Peter, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barry. I always feel when I stand behind one of these podiums, I always remember Police Academy. I guess that's for the old people who back. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for making me feel so welcome. Thank you to Dance Sport Western Australia for the invitation to finally be here today. It's a true honour, but more importantly, thank you to you for taking the opportunity of this fantastic exercise put on by your state branch, and I certainly hope you appreciate it. It's a fantastic opportunity. I feel really humbled to be included in the same bill as Anthony Hurley and Pamela, who I have a little surprise with a little later on. But I will talk about that later. She asked me over dinner last night, what was New Vogue? And we're going to do something a little bit later on she doesn't even know about. So thank you for the invitation. Thank you for welcoming me here, and for the couples that I've worked with and the studios that I've worked at, like Dance Power and Star. It's been fantastic. It's been a great opportunity for me to reacquaint. And you know, like, it was lovely that Barry to mention that I've won multiple Australian championships with my lovely wife. But really, you know, when I put all that aside, I don't really care. It's the people that I've met along the way. Dal Fraser, Graham and Julie and Jan and Daryl. It's been a fantastic journey for me, and I hope it's a journey that you all enjoy. We sometimes become focused on the destination, but it's the people that you meet along the way, the fun times you have, that truly outweigh the glory, which only lasts for a year because somebody else is the Australian champion or the South Pacific champion. It's those fantastic friendships along the way that I'll never forget, and I'm sure you're forging many memories and many fine friendships in your involvement. Now remember, if you take a photo of me, I've told you,
yes,
right?
Yes, absolutely.
You've got to airbrush, because I want to have a flat stomach.
Just take it from there upwards.
Yeah, just from the chest up. I've been working on that. Yeah. Australian New Vogue. It started out as Old Time, and it became New Vogue. And I don't know that that's the most appropriate name for it. However, it's what we've got. And it's a special part of our life, and it's a special part of our dance business. Many studios who advocate 10 dance theory or a ballroom studio or a Latin studio would not survive, but for the social impact and the pathway that New Vogue dancing provides. So, over the course of my 2 lectures today, this is of course the first of which, I'm going to talk about choices in life, history of New Vogue. I'm going to try and involve you in a little quiz, and then in the second half, I'm going to be doing some Championship New Vogue, talking about Championship New Vogue, talking about not necessarily what I like to see, because I don't really know what I like to see. I'm usually captured on the day by something, someone, be it little, be it large. It just captures you, and you don't know what you're searching for. Interestingly enough, in Pamela's lecture, she talked about the eye contact. And I'm going to talk in the second lecture about the evolution of New Vogue, how the theory of it, how the concept of it has changed since I competed, since Graham competed, since Deb was a multi-South Pacific champion. New Vogue has changed, and I'm going to talk about that in the second lecture, and that's when my involvement with Pamela will become prominent. Interestingly enough, at dinner last night, Pamela said, "What is New Vogue?" And Anthony tried to give her a description. She said, "Is it like American Smooth?" No. "Is it like English Old Time?" No. And you know what? Isn't it great that it isn't? Because it's distinctly ours. It's Australia. Right. Okay, and no matter where we travel in the world, and I've been fortunate enough to travel extensively, not always for dancing, mainly for pleasure, but it's something that I'm really proud of, being Australian. That Australian accent, And new vogue dancing is ours, right? So whether it be maligned, whether it be considered the third style, I don't give a stuff, right? It's an important part of our business, it's an important part of our career, and an important part of our lives. Now, I'm going to ask you all if I could have you on your feet. And that's everybody. You don't need to have a partner, you don't need to have dancing shoes. This is not related to dancing at all. So everyone up, come on the floor. And what I'm going to do is ask you a few questions. And I'm going to need Daryl to help me, because Daryl's going to be my time person. So everyone stay on the floor. Come on, let's go. Right, you're boring here, eh? Right, everyone up. Hey, right. Now, what I'd like to do is I'm going to ask you a question, and if those of you who have been to one of my lectures where I've used this before, I apologise, but I think it's an important way to align 3 points that I'm going to lecture about during the course of today. So, you've got 1 minute to decide, and I'm going to give you some options, and if your choice is, I will indicate which end you've got to go to, okay? So, my first question, and this I've got to keep this pretty clean because this isn't totally adult audience. But if you were going to a dance championship in a month's time and you had a choice between Virgin and Qantas as to how you would travel, those people who would go Qantas go onto my left, and those people who would go Virgin go onto my right. Quick, right, let's go. All right, you've got about 30 seconds. Right, so Qantas on the left, Virgin on the right. Okay, right, okay. Now, there's an argument happening here, is there? Are you going to go separate? Okay, all right. So we've got, that's about enough time. You're changing? Yeah, good. Okay, right. Yeah, it's all about life's about choices. Okay, so on the left-hand side, we've got the people who would travel Qantas, and the people who would travel Virgin on this side. Okay, now, before you go to the airport, you're going to have something to eat or drink or something, so you're going to have a tea or a coffee. All those people who would have tea on my left-hand side, all of those people who would have coffee on my right-hand side. Quick, let's go. You've got 10 seconds to decide. 15, right, okay. All right, okay. So, tea's on one side, coffee's up this end, is that right? Is that what I said? Right, okay, good. Jim, do any of you feel any peer pressure? You know, like, are you checking out the person next to you? Like, what are you going to do, yeah? Right, okay. And I'll relate that back shortly. Right, the next one is you have a nice meal, and you're going to have red wine or white wine. Those people who want red wine up this end, those people who want white wine up the other end. Right, 10 seconds, quickly. Joan, you want both? Okay, that's good. Right, okay. So we've got red wine up this end, white wine up this end. And I guess you're asking me, what the hell am I doing? But I'm going to relate that in a moment, okay? All right. Now, these people in the centre, they want it all. All right, okay. So, you're going to get a pet. You don't know whether to get a dog or a cat. So everyone who wants a dog up this end and a cat up the other end, yeah? Alright, quickly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you haven't got time, yeah? Okay, so there's a lot of dog people and very few cat people, and I think I'd certainly be up this end, okay? Alright, what's another comparison I can use, Daryl? This is where I used to use a rival one. Yeah, okay. Alright, okay. You're going for a holiday destination. You know, you're looking somewhere to go for a holiday in Australia. Right? All those people who would go to Sydney up this end, and all those people who would go to Melbourne up that end. Right, let's go. Now, I'd just like to say, just bear with me a minute, this was in Melbourne, wasn't it? Oh, jeez. Thank you very much. It's just lovely to see you all. You enjoy Sydney. Nicest city in the world, beautiful harbour. Okay, all right. Thank you. And the last one. Put another one for me, Jerry. Oh, okay, right. Football. Right, this is a real passion. Right, okay, and I'm going to be really watching here. All those people who would watch AFL football up this end, and all those people who would like rugby league or rugby union up this end. Okay, quick. So, yeah, you've got two options. Right. Okay, and you people in the centre don't want anything. Alright, okay. Alright. Great. Okay, so you guys up the end are rugby union or rugby league? Yes, that's right? Yeah, okay, alright, and AFL football. Fantastic. Alright, okay, now, you can take your seats. I'm done with you. Okay, thank you very much. Alright. Thanks, Darryl. Keeping everyone on track. Alright, now what the hell is that exercise for?
Just to get the blood flowing.
Okay, now you're going to ask me what was that all about? And what I was giving you was choices. Choices about your life, what your preferences are, and what I was doing was putting a time span on it. I was only giving you the opportunity to choose between two things. Now, the role of an adjudicator in dancing is a much maligned situation, and usually when someone gives you fifth or sixth, it's because they were crooked, or they were wrong, or they didn't know of them. Both, I've really lost it. But you know what? Sometimes when you're judging, you've got a choice to make, and you may not always like that choice, right? Okay? But you've got to make a choice, right? Interestingly enough, the peer pressure of looking at other people and thinking, oh, she said Qantas and I'm going Virgin, you know, like that type of thing, that all comes in to our dancing careers. We have to make choices. We make choices about the right coach, the right partner, the right moves to make. What do we need to do to make the most appropriate selection? What are the things that we need to consider? And I'd like to say the most important thing that you need to consider is yourself. Right? First and foremost, your obligation is to make yourself happy and then to make your partner happy, or in my case, the other way around. Okay. Now, what is it that we can do in life to make sure that our choices are the right choices? In dancing, and now I'm going to relate it to dancing. So firstly, from an adjudicator perspective, you have a minute and 20 seconds to impress someone. What is it that you need to do in that minute and 20 seconds, which really, divided by 6 couples in the final, comes down to about 20 seconds? You haven't got a great lot of time, you haven't got a great lot of exposure, so there's a number of things that you need to do to ensure that your efforts and your qualities are appreciated. Let me say firstly, when I say the role of an adjudicator is much maligned, it's also quite satisfying as well, quite enjoyable. And I think the bottom line of what I'd like to say about our involvement in dancing is that we enjoy it, right? I've said on many occasions, there's a lot of people that pick up a tennis racket, but there's only one Roger Federer. So what I'm saying to you is whether you choose, and your choice is to be a dancer, right? It's about reaching your personal best. Not everyone is going to be a Roger Federer, but you're going to get the best of what you can do, and you're going to display it to people, and then you're going to be judged on it. You're going to be assessed on it, and that's going to impact on the rest of your life, be it in dancing or outside of dancing. So, I did a similar lecture in Sydney a couple of weeks ago, and I said that as a coach, couples will come in and you'll say to them, so how did you go on the weekend? How did you dance on the weekend? And I'll say, we got third. No. I don't want to know how you compared. I want to know how you danced. How did you dance in relationship to your personal best? How did your performance compare with your last performance? How did your performance compare with how you danced for me in your last lesson? Yet, we become, as a generalization, we become hung up on how we compared, right? And the bottom line is you have no control over what your rivals do, what your fellow competitors do, or what the adjudicators do. All you have control over is yourself. And what is it that you need to do to be assessed, to be appraised, and to be appreciated? We have a TV program called The X Factor, and I'm sure you've all seen it. It's a great show, right? In dancing, I like to relate that back to the X Factor. What is it that makes someone a winner, and what is it that makes someone not reach their personal best, or perhaps not reach their full potential? And I've got it down to P's. Everything that starts with P. Preparation, which we're going to talk about shortly. Presentation, poise, partnering, participation, because as I said, not everyone will be Roger Federer. Okay, and the bottom line is, to me, it's a self-belief. It's a self-belief, it's a body confidence. Many, many years ago, I had a couple who I thought were pretty good. And a mate of mine called in because I'd locked my keys in the car, and he walked in while the Pro Vogue was on. And he knows nothing about dancing. This guy, he competes in Ironman events and Achiever, and he said, he's not going to win. And I said, why? And he said, like thinking, how can an Ironman know whether someone's going to win the Pro Vogue or not? He said, he's not going to win. Forget it. Lacked body confidence. And that was a really interesting statement to me, the term body confidence. What is body confidence? Is it believing? It's believing in yourself, it's displaying it to others, and then it's backing it up. Quite often you'll see people who have this aura about them, this tremendous confidence, but fail to back it up. One of my coaches, Alf Davies, had the most amazing aura about him. And not a big man, but Alf would walk into a room and he'd command attention. As he got on in years, sadly we lost him a couple of years ago, as he got on in years, I used to try and analyse what it was about Alf that made me scared. The fact that I just couldn't do a natural turn, I'm not really sure. But it was about his poise, his presentation, his belief, and even his preparation. Because the man prepared for every lesson he did. Right, he realised, he knew what you were capable of, and he benchmarked that on your previous performance, what you needed to do to achieve your personal best. So I'm going to talk firstly about poise. So, I think I need a drink. Poise. Well, what's poise? You know, the technical description of poise is the correct distribution of weight over the feet, and I can quote the theory book 100 times over. But when I talk about poise, I want to really talk about what people want to see, right? Now, every retired dancer that you'll see has a paunch of the belly, every male. Yeah. All right, Debbie Sullivan, does it? She doesn't? Okay, she's unique, right. I think because for so many years we elevate from the core of our body, and when we retire, we just go like that, you know? And yeah, okay, so let's talk about poise for a minute. When you go to the beach, okay, first time in the summer, you walk in and you feel fat, so you make yourself look worse. You put a towel around you, you walk down the beach, then you see some fat dude coming towards you and you think, hey shit, I know what's it about after all, you know, you sort of grow a little bit, and then you see some really big guy and all of a sudden the chest goes out and the core kicks in. So that's what we're going to apply in our dancing. We've got to present ourselves in the best possible light at all times. We have 9, 7, 11 adjudicators, and we don't know during the course of the competition, be it ballroom, Latin or Nouveau, when we're going to be looked at. So we've got to eliminate the weaker spots. We've got to make sure that our degree of variation in our performance is at a minimum. So the first thing I want to talk about with those P's was poise. I believe that everything comes from the core of the body, your elevation, right? Interestingly enough, listening to Pamela, she was talking about no tension in the shoulders and no tension in the arms. Throughout my dancing career, I've been told, as many of you people have, about a minimum amount of tension for a maximum amount of effect. The more flexible the body, the more creative you can become. But to be able to achieve that flexibility, right, that subtlety in the upper part of the body, we need to have tone. There's a difference between tone and tension. Tension inhibits our movement. Tension inhibits our opportunity to express, be it in a rumba basic or be it in a swans, right? We must have a minimum amount of tension in our upper part of our body. Yet if we have no tension or minimal tension and no tone to the core of our body, then everything will become plastic and superficial. So it's about where our elevation point starts and the impact of that elevation on the rest of our body. So, when next you go into the studio to practice or to have a lesson, I'd like you to think about toning the core of the body. Not sticking it out, right? Not growing through the front, but being elevated from within. So it's an intrinsic elevation, not an extrinsic elevation. So, poise. An important part of showing self-belief, right? The next thing I'd like to talk about just briefly is preparation. How well do we prepare, firstly for our lessons, and how well do we prepare for our performance? I think here in Australia, I don't think that we prepare particularly well at all, right? I don't think that we have a great awareness of diet. I can remember competing against multi-Australian champion Graham Thomas, and between rounds we'd stand on the side of the floor and have a cigarette. Those days have changed, but our preparation, I just wonder, Graham, how good we could have been if we didn't smoke between rounds. It was the girls. Okay, preparation. That's about diet. It's about sleep. It's about balance in life. We'll talk about balance in dancing, but the most important balance that we can achieve is a balanced lifestyle. The right amount of food for your body, and you know your body better than anyone else. When you're preparing for a competition, it's not just about what you eat, what you sleep, what you drink, whatever. It's about the harmony between you and your partner, which, believe it or not, you can create a harmonious situation between you and your partner. You can also create antagonism, which I think we've all been guilty of in the past. We always want more, but that other person on the end of our hands doesn't really want it as badly as what we do. Guess what? They do. So, preparation. What about when you go for your lessons? Right. Do you know what dances you're going to work on? Do you know what aspects you're going to work on? Or are you going to leave that to your coach? And although they've prepared, right, you need to make sure that there's harmony between your preparations. You discuss with them, firstly with your partner, what you need to work on. You then discuss with your coach how you're going to work to achieve those goals and objectives that you've agreed upon together. So, preparation. Poise. I think I've touched on partnering a little bit, because partnering to me is about working together, talking, agreed objectives, the agreed pathway on how you're going to achieve those objectives, and you know what, we all dance because we like it, and that partner we've got on the end of our hands, she does too, or he does too. We're going to work together to get the optimum result. Okay, any questions so far? Oh, gee, have I bored you? You know what? My job, I've got a real life as well. And in my job, I attend meetings. My title is I'm Executive Assistant to the Lord Mayor and Community Consultant Manager. So, I attend meetings all bloody day, right? From 9 a.m. till 5, I go to meetings, then I go and teach dancing and relax. But, out of every meeting that I attend, I want to come out with one outcome. Right? So that's my ambition for you today. I don't want you to leave here saying, gee, he talks good, or, you know, like he missed out on this. I want you to leave each of my presentations to you, because they're not lectures, because I'm not an expert. However, what I want you to go out with is one objective out of each one. Whether you need to improve your poise, your preparation, your presentation, your partnering skills, only one. Because I know from my business that if I go in and say that we're going to come out with 10 objectives, you come out with none. You may come out with 10 objectives, but you achieve nothing. So let's set the bar as low as possible and say, I'm going to leave that presentation with one objective. And you know what, in a lunch break today, I'm going to ask you, not one of you or not all of you, but I'm going to ask you what your objective is for the next year for your dancing, right? So that's about preparation, that's about partnering, and that's about a self-belief, right? Okay, so if you've expected to come into this presentation today to write feverishly a number of notes about what you've got to do to make yourself a success, forget it, okay? Because you're not going to do it, okay? But what I want, you're going to ring the cup? Okay. She just told you mind my business. Right, okay, so that wasn't a good presentation. Okay, that's an aspect that I need to take out of this workshop today. Pamela, how are you going?
I'm good.
Yeah, you're looking forward to dancing with me a little later on?
Wait.
Oh, okay. I've got to say, just interrupting my thoughts for a moment, the Latin lecture that you've just been through, and it was a lecture, mine's a presentation. I'm disappointed that you people didn't see the action that I saw from this end of the room, because it was fantastic. Just beautiful. And I can't wait to do a carousel with you a little later on today.
Sorry?
We're going to do a carousel maybe later on.
What's a carousel?
Oh, I don't know.
I thought you get those at the fun fair.
Yeah, you go up and down on a horse. Okay, right, okay, so. Yeah, Barry just told me to keep it clean. But, you know, I was really impressed with your lecture. Yeah, it was just lovely, and the action that you showed in the Kukarata, just fantastic. Well done. Okay, let's get back to it. So, we're going to come out of this with one objective. For those of you who are new Vogue enthusiasts, we're going to do a little bit of dancing later, but I'm going to relate it to Latin and standard as well, because my belief is that dancing is dancing, right? Be it ballroom, Latin, New Vogue, American Smooth, English Old Time, it's all about performance, pitting your performance against others, and then evaluating your achievement. Yeah. Anthony and I were talking about Alf last night, and as I mentioned to him earlier, and you know, he's very special to me. And you know, sadly, you know, when people come to the end of their lives and they're suffering a lot, I went to see Alf in the hospital a couple of weeks just before he passed away. And Alf used to have these Alfisms, I used to call them all the time, you know, and I used to cop them all. Because, you know, he used to say to me all the time about bloody New Vogue. You know, you look like you've got a football in your bum, and, you know, like all these things. But he used to say to me, Peter, you wouldn't know your ass from your elbow. Excuse the expression, he also used to say, you wouldn't know shit from clay. And I grew up from a 14-year-old, and so I can see you smiling. We're at the hospital, and Alf, you know, the pain killers were so intense. And he said to me, that's Brisbane over there, Peter. I said, no, Alf, it's Botany Bay. I said, is it Coburg Hospital? He said, no, it's Brisbane. I said, no, it's Botany Bay. Anyway, I realised I wasn't going to get anywhere, so I said, yeah, it's Brisbane. Anyway, the nurse came in and he said, he's just told me that's Brisbane, that's Brisbane over there. And she said, I've told you, it's Botany Bay. And I went over to him and I whispered, guess what, Alf? She wouldn't know her ass from her elbow. So, let's get back to dancing. Right, okay. So, I mean, I guess we can all tell stories forever and ever. And Dale could certainly enlighten you a lot now that she's got an OAM particularly. Congratulations, Dale. Really worth it. Let's go back to talking about presentation and relating it to dancing. You know, that friend of mine, Jonathan, who talked about body confidence. What is it that you need to do to display a confidence in how you look to convince people in 1 minute 20, of which you may only have 10 or 20 seconds of? What is it that you've got to do? We've got to capture that person's attention through, and I don't for one moment doubt that a commitment to technique is certainly important, but assuming that when you get to your level of competitive dancing, that technique has been pumped into you, pushed into you from when you were a kid, right? Or from when you started. So assuming that everyone has a basic level of technique, it then comes down to poise, presentation, partnering, and preparation. What is it that you need to do, right, to have that body confidence? So, has anyone got any ideas? What is it you're going to apply after this workshop that's going to change your performance for the future? Jason, how are you? Nice to see you. What is it that you had? You won 100,000 Australian championships. What is it that you used to think about when you danced? Standing tall? Yeah. Graham? Where is these battles coming from? And look, I'm going to tell you, look, little Julie here. Julie, I had a crush on when I was about 15, and I finally acknowledged it on Friday when I was there teaching. Julie, what was it that you felt that you needed to do when you, what singular thing, what was it that you gave?
Love of dance.
Beautiful. Graham gave a look at, said the love of winning. Julie said the love of dance. And Jace just wanted to be tall, didn't he? and let me say, you stood tall amongst the world champions. Well done. Yeah, it's great to have you here. Right. Okay, so what I'd like you to start thinking about, and what I'm going to come and test you on during the lunch break, is not whether you travel Virgin or Qantas, but what is it that you need to do to apply a positive approach to your dancing? I remember Alf said to me once, and I'll always quote Alf, that I needed to lift my ears. And I really didn't sort of know what he meant by lift my ears. But when I look back now on what you've achieved, singularly, that was probably the most effective statement for me. That worked for me. He used to say, lift the tops of your ears up. Because then it took the tension out of my shoulders. It helped to make me stand up. Then he used to confuse me by saying I needed to divorce the upper and lower part of my body. But all of these things rolled into each other made sense to me. We can all hear the words. You've got fantastic coaches here in Western Australia, many of whom I call my friends and love dearly. Listen to what they say. Choose those words that impact on you, that change your thought pattern, and just because it may be some set of words for Sheldon, it may not work for the next person or the next person, but you've got to search for the words that make a difference to you. Have I got 5 minutes left, Barry?
4 now.
Hair looks nice today, Barry. I might go that colour next week. All right, okay. So keeping it on the straight and narrow, right? Okay. We all have the ability to change. We all have the ability to change our thinking, our process, our preparation, and we all have that ability. But the first step in being able to change is acknowledging that you need to do it. Or acknowledging the tools that you need to get you to where you want to go. Okay, my idea, and it's only my idea, is it's about preparation, presentation, partnering, poise, and finding a self-belief. I was raised, like young Debbie here, in a studio environment. And sadly, I think that studio environment, at least I know in Sydney, is not as great as what it was 25 years ago when we were just juniors. Although you are a lot younger than me, aren't you? Yeah, right, okay. That studio environment, that friendship that we find in dancing, and I hope that here in Australia we rediscover that studio environment where we used to compete in the pro event on one night and then play bowls the next night, tennis bowling the next night. That type of environment is something that enables us to network with people who have similar opportunities, similar ambitions, and we can tap into those experiences of others. Like we heard about Jason standing tall. I'm going to ignore you, Graham, sorry mate. About Julie. And you know, I look around the room, many fine champions in this room, and I feel quite humbled to be here. But what I'd really like to do one day is to talk to all of those people and find out those words that they used in their preparation to achieve their objectives, to work harmoniously with their partner, to work harmoniously with their coach, and to live in a dance community that, with egos, ambitions, controlled, because you can't live your life without ego, and you can't live your life without ambitions, but you need to control them. You need to be in control of what you're doing. You don't need to be controlled by outside influences. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, like, I don't really want to teach a new vogue here today because you've got fine people who are here who can already do that. But what I hope to do is teach your brain to think differently about how you're currently thinking at the moment, and try and reach your personal best. Try and become Roger Federer. One last story before I go. Is it alright? My kids were fantastic swimmers. They were Australian age champions in breaststroke and butterfly. And you know what? Teaching dancing doesn't really work too good with kids who swim. And because they're up at 5 o'clock and I was getting to bed at 1. But I used to go and watch them compete, you know, as a good parent does. And I used to sit there and I used to say, gee, that guy looks fantastic. And my son, who likes to, you know, level things out between us, used to say to me, oh, Dad, you got no idea. Oh, he's a thrashing machine. He's going to die at 70 metres or 30 metres. And you know what, he was always right. And I used to think, how does he know this? Anyway, one day, I said to him, how do you know that guy is going to die with 10 metres to go? And he said, because it's all about concentrating or focusing on what you're doing now and not the destination. In our dancing, I think too often we focus on reaching the destination and not the journey of how we're going to get there.
Thank you very much, Peter. We're going to pause the video. We'll be sending Peter back again this afternoon.
Thank you, and if you'd like to be good friends, why don't you get to see Pam and I?